Alright, here's our review on number sense. So we've been doing number sense for the first unit, and we talked about powers of 10 and decimals. So let's review exponents, because that's what we talked about first. So we have, remember exponents, or another word for exponents is powers. So there's the power, the small number is the power, and remember the big number was the base. And this is not 5 times 3. Remember, it's not 5 times 3. It's 5 times itself 3 times. 5 times 5 times 5. Right, which is 125. So remember, don't multiply the base times the exponent. Okay, and here's a power of 10 question with an exponent. And remember, anytime you see a 0, that just means any base to the 0 power is 1, right? For example, 9 to the 0 power is 1. A million to the 0 power is 1. And when we multiply with powers of 10 and an exponent, the exponent tells us everything we need to do. And what is it telling us? It's telling us don't move the decimal. So where is the decimal? Well, you see a 3. The decimal is always there, right? It's 3.0. So it says, it's saying, right? It's saying don't move anything. So it's just 3. Or you could put 3.0, whatever you like. So if it was a 1, let's say we had 4 times 10 to the first power, well, it's saying move the decimal once. And then where's the decimal again? Right there. It's invisible. Move it once, right? And remember we had these waves, and anything in a wave, we have to put something. We have to put a 0, so it would be 40 to the first power. And what about this? So the decimal, again, it tells us everything we need to do. It's telling us to move the decimal 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So now we have all these waves, and we'll put the zeros in the waves. Right? We need some kind of boat. 400,000. Now when you see division, we do the opposite. So with multiplication, remember multiplication, we went this way to the right, but division, we go the opposite way. And again, the exponent tells us to move the decimal, which is right here, move it 4 times. So let's bring it over here so we see it a little better. And move it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget to put that decimal at the end there. So now we have to have the decimal there. Fill in those waves. And there we go. 0.0005. If we can read this, and we should read it by now, it's 5 over 10,000. It's 5 10,000th. Right? Remember? We also talked about place and value. Well, before that, let's do another one, actually. Try that one. What should we do? The exponent tells us everything, right? Move it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And don't forget to put those zeros. Right? Okay, so let's look at place and value. That's another thing we talked about. So again, we have a integer here, right? And we have the ones place, the tens, the hundreds, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, millions, 10 millions, and so on forever. So we know our place and our value. So if I underline the 7 here, we know the 7 is in what place? So we put the 7, we put P for place, and V for value. So the 7 is in the hundreds place, and its value is 700. What about the 9? I'll circle the 9. What place is the 9 in? So the 9 is in the millions place. I'll put 9 here. It's in the millions place. And its value is 9 million. Let's bring that up. Okay. And you can double check. Remember, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000, millions. There we go. And then we talked about expanded form. And you can do expanded form with powers of 10 or just with numbers. We just expand the number. So we have a 4 here, and we're going to times it by what its place is. So what's the 4's place? Well, again, you have 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. So it'll be 4 times 100,000. Put the parentheses, plus the 3, what place is the 3 in? It's in the 10,000. Right? Plus the 9, the 9's in what? The 1,000. And the 1 is in the 100. Now the 0, we're not going to use the 0 because the 0 means nothing, right? So we're going to skip the 0. And the 3 is in the 1s. And there's expanded form. Bring that over there. Now we can do it with powers of 10. We've done it with powers of 10. Makes it a lot easier. So instead of having 4 times 100,000, we'll go 4 times the power of 10. And 100,000 has, just count the places here. So this will be the 0. We always start with 0. Remember, because 10 to the 0 is 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need 5 zeros. 10 to the 5th power. And if you didn't understand this, remember we had a video on this, and we had videos on all these. You can review those videos. Now we need 3, and it's 3 times 10 to the 4th power. We can double check, remember, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And plus, well, then we have a 9 times 10 to the 3rd power. Plus, then we had a 1 times 10 to the 2nd power. Plus, we're not going to include the 0, because it's nothing. It means nothing. And we have the 3, and it's in the 0. There we go, an expanded form with powers of 10. Okay, and we also have decimal place value. So we know that this is the 1's place. It's the integer. But now these are all decimals. So there's no such thing as a 1th place, right? So we did start at the 10th place. And then we go to the 100th. So everything has that th, right? The 100th, we have the 1,000th, 10,000, 100,000, then we have the 1,000,000th place, and we keep going forever the other way. Right? So if we look, for example, let's look at the 9. So the 9, we'll put the place and the value of that 9. What do you think? So we have 10th, 100th, 1,000th. The 9 is in the 1,000th place, and you make a fraction, it's in the 1,000th. And its value is 9 thousandths. There we go. We also looked at how much greater numbers are. So if I looked at this number and this number, how much greater is this number than that number? And we just count how far away it is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. And look at powers of 10s. So in powers of 10s, 5 away. Right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So we have the 10th, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. So it's 100,000 times greater. 100,000 times greater. Right? Or you can count it this way. 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. How much times greater? Or you can say that this is 100,000 times less. We did also expanded form with decimals. Right? So here we have a 3. So we can go, this is 3 times 1/10. It's in the 10th place. Plus, we're going to skip the 0. 1, and it's in the 1,000th place. And we have another 1. Bring it over here. And what? We have the 10,000th. Skip that 0. When you skip numbers, make sure you're not skipping the place. Or you're adding the place. You might, by accident. Like for here, since we skipped the 0, we might say, 100th instead of thousandths, but it's the thousands. 1,000, 10,000th. We're skipping that in the 100,000ths, so now we're just left with the 1,000,000th place. Alright, so that's decimals in expanded form. We also compare decimals. And when we compare decimals, we go left to right. We go one at a time. You can line them up if you want. So we can take this 0.09, line it up, and just go left to right. They both have a 0. So far it's even. But this has an 8, and this has a 9, so this one is greater. You can stop right there. You don't care how many numbers are past that. Go left to right. Whoever has the bigger number as you go left to right is the bigger number, right? So 0.09 is greater. You have that symbol, right? We always point to the smaller number. Well, the alligator is always eating the bigger number, or, right, Pac-Man, or... So what about this one? Which one's the greater number? So it's lined up already, so we can say, well, they both have a 0, they both have an 8, they both have a 7. This has a 2, and that has a 1, so this one's the greater number. And the last thing we talked about is rounding decimals. And before we can round, remember, we can't round unless we know what we're rounding to. Round to what? So let's say we had this, round to the nearest whole number. So when you round to the nearest whole number, so the nearest whole number would be right over here in this box. So it's either going to be a 1 or a 0. And we always look to the right. Look to the right. So here's the whole number. Look to the right. Look to the right. And we remember that if it's 5 or greater, we know we're going to round up. But if it's 4 or less, we're going to round down. So this number is a 3, so we know it's not near 1, we know it's near 0. The nearest whole number is 0. What if we had to round to the nearest tenth? First, find the 10th place. Well, here it is. There's the 10th place. And look to the right. Is that a 5 or greater? Yes. Since it's 5 or greater, the nearest tenth would be 0.4. And try that one. Round to the nearest thousandth. Well, find it first, right? And that's tenth, hundredth. There it is. You found the place. Then look to the right. Is it 5 or higher? No. So it's going to not round to 6, but it's going to stay at 5. Now, you don't need any of these numbers, but you need everything else that's greater than thousandth. So if you round to the nearest thousandth, this will be 1.345. And if this was a 5, then it would be 1.346. So that's number sense. And if you didn't understand something, you should review the video, or also look at the other videos we had previously for this unit. So great job. Let's move on.